Ladies and gentlemen, so I was sitting down this morning thinking about all of the stuff in Marvel Contest of Champions that really annoys me, and if I were in the theoretical position of the Kabam CEO, what kind of changes I would start making to the game, or stuff that I'd be very, very interested in adding to make it, not only, make a little bit of money with these changes as well, but simultaneously make it just an overall better experience for the players, because this is what mainly has motivated a lot of the reasons on this list. But obviously, if we're talking about change or improvement, there's always infinite room for change and infinite room for improvement in anything that you do in life. And Marvel Contest of Champions is no exception to that. So if you have any additions to this list, or you've had a really, really good idea for change for a while, leave them in the comments below, because I'm very, very interested to go through as many as possible. Now, the first one is in relation to Masteries. So currently, you can only have one Mastery set up. And I remember playing the days of World of Warcraft and games like Rift, where I could store multiple Mastery setups and flick through them at any time. And I feel like this should really be a feature of Marvel Contest of Champions. And you can unlock you could be able to unlock additional mastery slots, either by earning them in-game. You could do really, really difficult content. They could be associated with stuff like Act 6 or Act 5 or Labyrinth of Legends, but you could also turn it into a monetary thing where they can be purchased via units, like 500 to 1,000 units per mastery slot, and you could be able to buy multiple ones, so you can make, custom mastery setups, the really endgame grinders and whales. Could potentially buy 10, 15 of these and have different mastery setups for Mystic champions, skill champions, tailor-made ones for Electra that have resonate. But there's a lot of potential, and it would allow a little bit more flexibility and creativity in the mastery system, and also encourages a lot of people to unlock every single mastery to play about with various setups and not just focus on kind of the bog standard all-around setup there. So I think there's a monetary incentive for Kabam. Now, the next one is really an increase on the gold drop rates, and this is mainly related to the fact that I've been playing this game for almost 2 years, and when I started playing this game, I'm almost 100% sure of this, the gold rewards for arena crystals were 3,000, 5,000, and 10,000, and now we're 2 years later, and it's still the same, but we are ranking up 5-star champions. They are so much more expensive. Taking 5-star characters between rank 3 to rank 5 is ridiculous in terms of the amount of gold you need. And on the regular endgame players, you need so much more gold nowadays. My gold replenishes so incredibly quickly, so I'd like to see increased gold drop rates in uncollected arena crystals, because the drop rate isn't increased in that. It's just ×5, but the cost is also ×5 as well, so you're not really getting more gold overall. And also stuff like Halls of Fortune run every Sunday. That would be pretty damn fantastic, because I'm just bleeding gold left, right, and center, and it's becoming very, very annoying. And point number 3 is really in regards to Tier 2 and Tier 3 class catalysts, because they are so annoying to farm. The maps, just half of the time, you're just getting fragments, and the T2 one, you'll get 1 for 100% completing it, but to take up a 4-star character, you need 3 of those, so it might be 2 weeks before you can take up 1 4-star character from rank 1 to rank 2, and it's so annoying, man. It's just such a pain point that you're stuck farming this really, really crappy map that you've done 100,000 times. You need to do it more. And same with the tier 3 class catalysts, they're so annoying to farm, and even doing the map on that one doesn't guarantee you a fully formed T3 class catalyst, which is just absolutely absurd for the current state of the game and the amount of energy that you need to invest. It's such a poor, if you look at ways that you can spend energy in alternate modes of content, it's just terrible what you get from these maps. You just get absolutely rinsed in terms of the value. So yeah, I just need an overall buff in regards to this. The standard maps at the moment need 100 to 200% increase in terms of the rewards. I think T2 class catalyst crystals need to be added to solo events. There needs to be an increase in T3 class catalyst fragments in the solo events, because it's not really enough at the moment, in my opinion, especially for progressing players. I have a really, really tough time on my free-to-play account trying to scrape together T3 class catalysts, and also It would be interesting to see as well if you want to go one step further. Also have uncollected T2, T3 maps that have further increased drop rates on a map that should already have an increased drop rate. So that's what I really, really like to see. And then I have number 4 overall is energy improvements, because this is really from my free-to-play account. I find all of my energy now, and this is tight, going on. You've got heroic to 100%, master to 100%, and uncollected to 100%. If you want the good rewards, like the rewards for all three are by far worth the energy investment, and really, really needed to kind of keep up with the current state of the game. But simultaneously, like, that's where all my energy goes. Like, on my free-to-play account, I've got no energy for daily quests unless I want to grind arena and spend units, and there's, you know, potentially so much daily stuff that to grind out, and simultaneously, like, there's no additional energy for stuff like Act 4, Act 5 exploration and pushing forward in that, which is very, very expensive as well in terms of the energy. So I feel like with the amount of content in-game at the moment, I think it's relatively a fair point to make that there could be more ways for players to get energy without spending. It'd be really nice to see the energy cap increase to 100, and also I think this is my overall favorite energy change or solution that would benefit free-to-play players. Winning one arena fight gives you 1 energy, so that doesn't really devalue the cost of, like, buying a full refill, because, you know, if we're looking at recharging up to 70, for example, that's still like an hour of arena grinding for the average person to get a full refill, which has the equivalent price to about $1, and the majority of people, if they are going to spend money on that, they're still, you know, going to drop that $1 to save an hour of arena grinding. But that would just be a really nice, like, additional thing for free-to-play players. And also reduced Act 4 energy cost. Act 4 sucks. It's one of the worst pieces of content, in my opinion, ever designed, because it's so long, it's so tedious, and so boring. It's so just, like, it's really not aged well in terms of Marvel Contest of Champions. So reduce the energy cost of Act 4, because it is just painful. It's so painful in its current state. Having to go for it again on the free-to-play account, like, I legitimately, I hate it, man. It's just, it's so unsatisfying, so unrewarding. And yeah, the rewards as well, if we're looking about the amount of energy that you need to invest overall to get Act 4, for the rewards, like, it's so laughable, because Act 4, like, arguably, there are better overall rewards on a monthly basis for doing uncollected 100%. Granted, uncollected is a little bit more difficult, but that is probably like 1/20th of the energy cost of Act 4. So yeah, the energy cost, man, it needs to be toned down a little bit there. And then we have Crystal, something I've been talking about for ages, man, which is Crystal Pity Timers on the premium, and also feature Grandmaster Crystals. So this is because I see so much variance in player luck when it comes to premium hero crystals. So there should be something like they have in Hearthstone, where, like, every 15 premium hero crystals you open, if by the 50th one you haven't pulled a 4-star, there is something that guarantees you to pull a 4-star champion out of that. It's called a Pity Timer. It's to prevent some people from getting, like, insanely lucky, and some people just getting absolutely shat on for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of premium crystals. So I think in the current state of the game, that something like that is very, very fair for premiums, and I'd like to see one for the Grandmaster crystals as well, because, you know, I find it very, very painful whenever I watch, like, massive openings or see screenshots where people have opened, like, you know, 100 of these and still not gotten a single 5-star champion. So yeah, it'd be nice to have a Pity Timer in both of those. So, point number 6 kind of ties into this really annoying problem at Marvel Contest of Champions Endgame, and the problem is essentially, do you have a champion that can counter this mechanic? If yes, congratulations, you can win this fight. If no, you are going to have a terrible time and have to pay a lot of units, use a lot of revives, regardless of your ability to play. Now, this one is essentially ways to pay additional shards to increase your chance at getting a certain champion. Now, there are so many ways that you can do this, but a method, you know, just something that I'm going to put forward as to give you guys an idea of how it could work, is in the 4-star crystals, you know, before buying it, you could open up a list of every single champion, and you have the option to blacklist certain champions. So you could take off, for example, let's say Hulkbuster, let's say Colossus, let's say Spider-Gwen, Kamala Khan, and Luke Cage. So you take off 5 champions that you blacklist, but that would increase the cost of the crystal for every champion you blacklist by, let's say, like 20% of its base value. So on 4-star crystals, this would be an additional 100 4-star shards. But then if you wanted to get a very, very specific champion, let's say you got the 4-star crystal, there are like, 100 champions in there, you could pay like 20,000 shards to maybe guarantee that you get like a 4-star arcane jewel. And I think that's like a really, really good system for those people who've just hit a point where they are just waiting on a certain option to get them through a certain thing. So I really like the idea of a system like this, and I don't believe you know, with the wealth of champions and the excess roster that there is in the game, something like this would be necessarily too broken. I feel like it'd be fairly balanced because it would still be very, very expensive to get the specific champion you want. And I guess for the average person, it would maybe be better to take the gamble and just go for, you know, people that are coming up in the game. They're just going to open the regular 5-star ones. They aren't going to wait till they have like, I don't know, like 50,000, 60,000 shards to get a particular like Stark and Aunt Spider-Man. They might do, but that's a way that they could play the game. But I just like it because I feel like people, Marvel Contest of Champions at the moment, and if they want to continue down the similar direction that they do, which I kind of hope that they get to a direction where every champion has a viable and interesting use, but the reality of the current state of the game is there are certain roadblocks and certain champions that remove those roadblocks. So I think if they want to continue going down that route, something like this would be really, really awesome to see. So yeah, I would love to see something along the lines of point number 6, but I can understand maybe some reasons why that wouldn't be implemented, but that's a change that I'd like to make for sure. And then number 7 would be more skill-based ways to combat unavoidable damage mechanics. So I've given some examples of this. We have your girl Magic and her Limbo. So the way that I would change Limbo to make it more quote-unquote fun and interactive is all Limbo damage would be dealt at the end of Limbo, but landing a double medium combo can cancel Limbo on Magic. So you get all the healing and all the damage right at the end, but you can cancel and avoid that if you play in a certain way that would land a double medium combo while she has Limbo. So an example of this is you could start the combo if she's going like just above a bar of power threshold by, you know, light, and then goes over medium. Boosh, Limbo's gone, you don't take any of the damage. It's a great time, lads. So I'd love to see that. And stuff like on Dormammu, just a random example here, quadruple light combo could dispel degeneration. Mephisto, I've talked about this before, but the chance to proc Incinerate reduced by 500%, so it's significantly lower, but the damage increased by Incinerate increased by like 500%. So when you see that Incinerate, it's like get back. Like it's a mechanic that would maybe trigger once in every like 20-25 hits, maybe 25-30, something along the lines of that. But when you saw it, you would have to get back for 4 seconds instead of being something that is just up pretty much constantly because it's triggering like once in every 5 or 6 hits at the moment. So yeah, I'd love to see something like that, make Mephisto a little bit more skill-based. MODOK auto block recovery duration doubled. I think it's a little bit too quick at the moment. And also a visible timer showing when auto block is coming back again. Because this is a problem that I see a lot of people having with MODOK is... you know, they'll fire off a special attack, and then he'll auto-block right as they do that, and then just instantly attack into him. So I think they need a timer like Void to exactly show you when, you know, his auto-block is going to be active again, so you can play around that mechanic. But I also think it's a little bit too aggressive, so I'd like to see, you know, the recovery duration doubled, so it's not as much of a BS Fiesta mechanic as it is at the moment. And then I've got one for Iceman. Ideally, the solution really for Iceman is remove all damage from Cold Snap, but you could do something like any damage taken from Cold Snap can be recovered if you perform a medium light medium combo. How great does that sound? That sounds pretty good. Just go through the combat log, find all the Cold Snap damage, and then reverse it. That would be relatively fantastic, and you could start off the fight maybe performing those combos just to, you know, constantly mitigate the damage and then heal it all back up again. So yeah, that's something that I would like to see. Just essentially, these are just some general examples of more skill-based ways to combat unavoidable damage, you know, and ways that you can integrate that into already existing champions. And then number 8, we have the option to set your profile avatar as your favorite champion, and not just your top one. This is something that would just be pretty cool to have. Like, I really, really like to see it. And then we're moving on to number 9. I'm just gonna, like, what is it, double enter, just to move it down the page. But this is really talking about the potential of an achievement system within Marvel Contest the Champions and some of the various stuff they could bring to the table. So I assume this is kind of along the lines of like a World of Warcraft achievement system, if you're familiar with that. So, achievement system could bring to the table a way to further increase the rewards of older content to be relevant to the current endgame rewards and stuff like that. So, you know, just adding in like additional shards for completing Act 4, maybe some additional rewards for killing Thanos as well. You could have special tags and titles for super difficult achievements. So this could be stuff, you know, like the Legends badge, for example, is a great badge because as soon as you have that, you feel like the friggin' Don. You feel so cool. But they, and titles, I don't think really anybody cares about titles. Like, after the first, like, week and a bit, they just seem very, very buried within the game. So I think tags are maybe the way to go if you want to, you know, reward people for super challenging and difficult feats of accomplishment. Just examples of, like, interesting challenges. You could have complete Realm of Legends without parrying, with no champions dying, defeat Act 4 Maestro in a single try using a 2-star champion, defeat Act 3 Thanos in a single try using a 1-star Colossus. Maybe that one could be called Send a Colossus His Way. But, you know, doing these various achievements adds a level of replayability and additional challenge and stuff to do for people that have already done the content once. It adds that additional layer of depth to people going back and wanting to be completionist and getting additional rewards and titles and tags. And, you know, there's different ways you could introduce like a badge system as well. But there's so much that could be done in Marvel Contest of Champions and explored with an achievement system. But you could also have, there was an event, I think it was around the Full Ragnarok one, that was like, you know, finish X amount of fights with like Incinerate or a heavy attack. And I don't think that kind of mechanic really worked or was desirable to have in something that had a limited time frame. But if it was something that was a permanent achievement and people could work toward it and they weren't, you know, forced to get this many kills within this time frame, it might be something that people want to participate in a little bit more for rewards. So yeah, I've put in like an example, like there could be an additional achievement that maybe gives you a big stack of like 5-star shards or gold that encourages an alternate style of gameplay, like finish 100 arena fights with heavy attacks. You know, that just gives people additional reward for kind of mixing it up if they want to. So yeah, I like the idea of an achievement system. I feel like it could have some very, very interesting uses within the confines of Marvel Contest of Champions, but there is so much that could be done. You know, we've only just kind of touched a little bit on it in point number 9 there, but not point number 10. This is mainly one for myself and the community that makes YouTube videos and the endgame community that just want to get better at playing the game. And this is a Labyrinth testing grounds, which would be unlocked once you've completed Labyrinth of Legends 100%. And it would be a rewardless labyrinth that when you entered, there would be a teleporter is in the Doctor Strange style teleporters where you can select whichever boss you want to teleport to practice on for fun, to showcase new champions and their utility against really big versions of characters. I feel like this would be so useful and very, very interesting for a lot of people to watch. It would allow YouTubers and content creators to vary up some of the kill videos that you see on YouTube. And I think it'd just be really fun for practicing, because there are so many Labyrinth bosses, I think mainly like Doctor Strange, Venom-Paw, and Cyclops, that I would love to go back and just play about with and have a really good test on, but not really feel under the pressure of spending a lot of units to get to those bosses in particular. I don't think anybody wants to do that, but if you add a Labyrinth testing grounds, I don't really see it you know, taking a long time to implement, because you could just copy the Labyrinth map, remove the rewards, and then just get somebody to assign portals and then label those portals to the various bosses. I see this being something that could be done potentially by one person in an afternoon, but then have huge benefit on the kind of quality of new champion testing videos that we are seeing on YouTube, and just provide a little bit more fun, a bit of a fun playground for endgame players, just to have a good time and you know, test various strategies against some of the most difficult fights in game. I think it'd be super, super cool. So yeah, that's just what I'd like to see. A bit of a personal request there, but I guess, to be honest, all of these are quite personal requests, but stuff that I feel, you know, is relatively warranted in the current state of Marvel Contest of Champions. But ladies and gentlemen, hopefully today you enjoyed my list of 10 changes that I would like to see made to Marvel Contest of Champions in 2018. If you have any additional changes, ideas, improvements, let me know in the comments below. Hopefully this can be quite a constructive video where we can get together maybe some new ideas or think of some really cool new systems outside of the implied future of the game, which is stuff like you know, the continuation of Alliance Quest. We're probably gonna have another Alliance War update at some point, and there's gonna be additional stuff like Infinity War event coming toward the summer, and simultaneously they've also talked a lot about smaller team-based gameplay, which we talked about toward the end of last year. But I believe they are working on, at the moment, smaller scales of like Alliance Quest, Alliance War type based content that operates outside of the confines of your alliance, which is stuff that I'm very, very interested in. But because they've already acknowledged that they're working on that in kind of interviews earlier this year, you know, I'm not overly fussed. I didn't want to include it in the list because I kind of already know that they are trying their best to work on that at the moment. But yeah, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think of the changes. What would you like to see? Let me know in the comments below. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.